The small coal mining town of Mons, Belgium is an unassuming place. Nestled in Wallonia, life moves slowly. But in the early 90s, darkness fell over Mons. 5 dismembered bodies were found near the Canal du Centre. The press dubbed the killer the Butcher of Mons. Fear gripped the community. Mons was no longer safe. The idea of a predator among them was unthinkable. Fear wormed its way into everyday life. Women were afraid to walk alone. Parents held their children tightly. Suspicion and unease replaced the once convivial atmosphere. The specter of the butcher loomed large. Even in familiar places, darkness can lurk. The Butcher of Mons did not operate randomly. His crimes, though gruesome, bore the hallmarks of a disturbingly methodical mind. Each victim was found dismembered, their bodies wrapped in plastic bags, as if packaged with a terrifying detachment. The killer took macabre care in disposing of the remains, often placing them in areas both visible and yet strangely hidden, as if playing a grisly game with authorities. The victims themselves presented a chilling consistency. All were women, most in their late 30s to early 50s. They came from similar working-class backgrounds, and several were known to frequent the same social circles. This suggested the killer was not picking his victims at random but was instead selecting them based on specific criteria that remain frustratingly elusive to this day. Adding to the enigma was the lack of a sexual element to the crimes. Though horrifying, the murders lacked the overt sexual violence often associated with serial killers. This absence of a traditionally understood motive only deepened the mystery surrounding the butcher, making his psychological profile all the more difficult to pin down. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, the case of the Butcher of Mons quickly went cold. Leads were scarce, and those that did surface seemed to evaporate into thin air. Witnesses reported seeing a suspicious man near the canal around the time of the first murder, but the description was frustratingly vague, amounting to little more than a fleeting shadow in the collective memory of the town. The meticulous nature of the crimes, while chilling, provided little in the way of forensic evidence. The killer left no fingerprints, no DNA, no trace of himself at any of the crime scenes. It was as if he were a phantom, appearing only to commit his heinous acts and then vanishing without a trace. Years passed, and the case files on the Butcher of Mons gathered dust. The lack of progress gnawed at the families of the victims, the unanswered questions a constant weight on their hearts. The town of Mons, once united in fear, settled into a state of uneasy acceptance. The killings had stopped, but the shadow of the butcher remained, a stark reminder that some wounds never truly heal. The official investigation into the Butcher of Mons may have stalled, but the case itself refused to die. Amateur sleuths, drawn to the mystery and the lack of answers, began their own investigations. Internet forums buzzed with theories, some plausible, others bordering on the outlandish. Were the killings the work of a drifter, passing through Mons on a spree of violence? Or was the killer a local, someone hiding in plain sight? These amateur investigators, though lacking the resources of law enforcement, brought a fresh set of eyes to the case. They pored over old evidence, interviewed witnesses, and chased down leads that had long since gone cold. While their efforts have yet to yield concrete results, they serve as a testament to the enduring power of this unsolved mystery. Their work, while often dismissed as the purview of armchair detectives, has at times provided valuable insights. In 2013, an online forum dedicated to the case uncovered a potential link between the Mons killings and a series of unsolved murders in northern France. While this lead ultimately proved fruitless, it highlighted the potential for collaboration between amateur investigators and law enforcement, a partnership that could hold the key to finally cracking the case. From the outset, the investigation into the Butcher of Mons was hampered by a number of challenges. The killings occurred during a time when DNA technology was still in its infancy, and the lack of forensic evidence made it difficult for investigators to connect the dots. The killer's methodical nature, while providing a glimpse into his psyche, also made him incredibly difficult to track. The geographical location of the murders presented an additional hurdle. Mons, situated close to the French border, became a potential transit point for the killer, making it possible he was long gone before the first body was even discovered. This cross-border element added a layer of complexity to the investigation, requiring cooperation between Belgian and French authorities that, at times, proved challenging. Furthermore, the social climate of the time played a role in the investigation's shortcomings. The victims, mostly working-class women, were not afforded the same level of media attention or investigative resources as victims from more affluent backgrounds. This disparity in media coverage and public interest likely hindered the investigation, allowing potential leads to go unexplored and witnesses to remain silent. Despite the passage of time, the case of the Butcher of Mons remains an open wound in the annals of Belgian crime. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the case, spurred in part by advances in forensic technology and a growing public fascination with true crime. Modern investigators are revisiting old evidence with fresh eyes, using DNA profiling techniques that were unimaginable in the 1990s. The hope is that even the smallest trace of DNA, overlooked or deemed insignificant at the time, could now hold the key to identifying the killer, or at least providing new leads. In addition to DNA analysis, investigators are also employing new investigative tools, such as geographic profiling and behavioral analysis, to re-examine the case. By mapping the locations of the murders and studying the killer's modus operandi, they hope to gain a deeper understanding of his motives and movements, potentially uncovering clues that were missed in the initial investigation. The killings attributed to the Butcher of Mons left an indelible mark on the town and its people. The fear that gripped the community in the 1990s may have subsided, but it has been replaced by a lingering sense of unease, a recognition that even in the most peaceful of places, darkness can lurk beneath the surface. The families of the victims continue to live with the pain of their loss, their grief compounded by the lack of answers. For them, the passage of time has not dulled the ache of their absence. They remain trapped in a perpetual state of waiting, hoping that one day, justice will be served, and their loved ones will finally find peace. The case of the Butcher of Mons stands as a stark reminder of the fallibility of memory and the limits of justice. It is a testament to the enduring power of fear, the devastating impact of unsolved crimes, and the resilience of a community forever marked by a tragedy it cannot forget. The butcher may never be brought to justice, but the pursuit of truth, however elusive, continues, driven by the hope that even in the darkest corners, light may yet prevail.